What are some horrifying things to consider when thinking about aliens? Aliens could do to us what we did to wolves, selectively breeding a once noble species in grotesque ways, transforming us into the equivalent of bulldogs, poodles, dachshunds, etc. I'm sure this has been done a bunch of times, but a world-building concept I really like is the idea that stereotypical fantasy races were once all human, but then adapted to / was bred for different environments. So like dwarves adapted to a high-gravity planet, orcs have green skin so that they can photosynthesize on a harsh desert planet with little food. Halflings were bred to be domestic servants, etc. It's not nearly the same as you mentioned, but the novel Brave New World is probably the closest I've read to what you described. Humans genetically bred for different levels and use in society. One theory, from Stephen Hawking, is that if they are sufficiently advanced, that aliens may treat us like ants. When we build dams, we don't worry about whether or not a dam will cause an anthill to be flooded out. Similarly, a species that is advanced as far beyond us as we are beyond ants might seek to alter our planet or even our solar system to their advantage without giving consideration to what may happen to us. The possibility of them already knowing about us but us not knowing about them. We have no idea if they know. They could be committing space espionage right now, and we wouldn't know about it. /1. There is absolutely nothing on planet Earth that the aliens can't find in more abundance elsewhere. Precious metals, gases for fuel, assuming they don't have 0-point energy or some shit that lets them get power from vacuum, and even water are all available in space, and you can get these resources with zero resistance. So I don't think they would come here for any resources, unless they want our biosphere, which, for all we know, could be abundant in the galaxy. /2. If aliens do show up one day but turn out to be hostile, there is absolutely nothing we can do to stop them. If they have been coming here, if you believe in that sort of thing, they have been doing so for a very long time. They know everything about us, including our weaknesses and how to exploit them. Meanwhile, they are a species capable of FTL travel. Wiping us out would be as simple for them as flipping on a light switch. No jet to ship dogfights, no magical weak point to hit, no third act secret weapon to save us. Just one press of that button and everything turns white and then black. So if they do come to Earth, they would need a damn good reason to. If our luck is truly awful and they actually want something from us, we'd better pray that it's something that we don't have to fight over, because we wouldn't stand a chance. They are not harvesting metals, they are harvesting the energy of the stars and randomly happen to come across our star. Now they are using our sun to fuel up their ship like at a gas station without caring that there are planets nearby. Once the energy has been harvested and sun has cooled down, they leave us freezing to death. For all we know, aliens might not be the little green men that fly around in flying saucers and destroy us with laser beams. They could be an interstellar pathogen that show up one day and silently and effortlessly kills us all without warning. Our immune systems would have no idea what hit them. There was a book called Blind Sight that explores a cool idea of aliens, where they are not your typical little green men. The premise is pretty much, what if humanity is unique? What if intelligent life is common, but sentience is not? That music, art, literature is a uniquely human trait. That space is filled with cold, emotionless, genius life. To me that idea is kinda horrifying. At least, I think that's what the book was about. I'm not the best reader lol. Along the same lines, most of our fiction depicts intelligent alien life as fundamentally similar to human intelligence. But think of something like a spider. Spiders don't have an intelligence similar to humans at all. So in theory a spider of human-like intelligence would still be completely alien to us. I guess what I'm saying is that even intelligence and sentience don't mean that we would think even sort of the same. Our human concepts of morality and empathy are heavily influenced by our mammalian biology. Imagine that aliens land, and instead of having nice little family units, their species lays clutches of thousands of eggs at a time. They don't form strong bonds. Life is essentially expendable for them. They see us weeping over a dead child and they have literally no frame of reference for understanding why this would be upsetting. I'm not saying all aliens will be like this, but some definitely could be. A counter-argument would be octopuses. They are the most different form of intelligent life that we know, and they don't seem to be that arseholish. Although here we are with our supposed empathy, yet we eat them up. I was also thinking about octopuses, but in another way. They are highly intelligent yet don't rule the sea. One reason for this is the lack of bond with their parents. They don't pass on their knowledge from one generation to another. Thus I'd argue that a social bond is a requirement for an intelligent species to advance that far. What if it ends up the other way around? What if we end up being able to travel between the stars, and we find some aliens that aren't as technologically advanced as we are? I could easily see us being imperialist invaders, committing the atrocities we've committed against each other on an entire species, so we could have a second planet with an oxygen atmosphere and easily attainable natural resources. That would be truly horrifying. The assumption that they come in groups in some flying saucer. For all we know, they might just appear in hordes of thousands if not millions all across the planet. Also, we like to think that aliens will share the same way of thinking as humans, i.e., reasoning, emotions, etc. Close bracket. But the only reason we think that is because that's the only thing we are familiar with. Aliens might have completely different emotions or thought processes than us, but we won't know because we never encountered them before. It's like the fourth dimension. At this point it's pretty well established what it is, but most of us, if not all, have no clue how to visualize or properly explain it. Well, for us at least, the best way I think that we can evolve to be spaciferers is to become energy/hardware based beings. If you take the squishy human body out of the equation and have us uploaded as digital consciousnesses or a collective consciousness, then you eliminate a lot of the problems of deep space travel, resources, radiation, size of spacecraft, reproduction, acceleration/deceleration, etc. With feasible technology you could literally beam human consciousness vast distances at the speed of light to preceded automated factories that produce what we need from local resources, robotic bodies, ships and the like. It's just one idea, but it definitely solves a number of problems we are going to encounter in the next few centuries. We haven't exactly evolved to be good in space, and we probably will never naturally evolve to be good in space. Extremely unlikely, I know. But if aliens ever come to Earth, it likely means they are a spacefaring and interstellar capable species with tech at least centuries, if not millennia, ahead of ours. In other words, if aliens are even remotely capable of traveling to our planet, we are pretty much outgunned hilariously. I would much rather be massively outgunned than to be just a bit outgunned. If even our most powerful nukes are nothing compared to their technology, then we're not a threat. If we pose a potential danger to them, there's an incentive to eliminate us. That's one of the reasons why the aliens in Battle Los Angeles really creep me out. They're powerful and dangerous, but they are still low tech enough that regular human soldiers can fight them in a conventional war. And that's why the aliens are so aggressively genocidal against humans and trying to wipe us out. The scariest thing to me is thinking that aliens want nothing to do with us. I don't get why everyone thinks that aliens would attack us immediately. It's one thing if we come into their territory, but if they stumble upon us, we are most likely safe. Them finding us would mean they are incredibly advanced. Anything they could get by attacking Earth they could get far easier by harvesting it from a different planet in our solar system. Unless they feed specifically on brainwaves, it isn't worth the hassle to attack a planet teeming with life. They may have some weapons, however primitive, that might be used against you. It's far more frightening to believe that aliens will one day discover us and won't be interested. They won't want us on their intergalactic councils. They won't want to give us medicine. They won't want to form any bond. If they decide to just leave humanity alone, that means either they have decided we are not worth saving, or that we are too close to destruction to be worth the resources. What we think the aliens will do to us is reflective of our ego. We analogize some conquest of the new world, manifest destiny stuff to it cause that's what we know. But aliens could just be boring, uninterested, or have totally different priorities. Because they're alien, not Christopher Columbus with big eyes. My main thing is that they'll bring a virus or something that'll just wipe us out cause we've never seen anything like it. Or we'll be immune cause it's too alien. Who knows? But until there is actual proof that there are advanced aliens out there, I'll stick to the idea that they are bacterial cells on Titan or something. Maybe all these supposed alien abductions and UFOs over the past 100 years have been alien scientists building vaccinations against unknown diseases for themselves and adapting their own medical immunities for humans to monitoring our progress against our own diseases, so when both civilizations are on top of it, we can be welcomed into the galactic fold safely. Maybe they just try and make sure everyone is safe and happy for galactic adventures with their new friends. /carrot. That they don't actually exist. If there were no advanced civilization that can colonize other planets, that would mean that most of them go extinct before they reach that level of technological advancement, which means that we are probably doomed to extinction too. I think there could be a more positive outcome too. Maybe interstellar travel is too hard and instead, they'd rather spend a utopia in some sort of mind upload thing, having alien sex and doing alien drugs. I'm hopeful that maybe it's because there's just more fun stuff to do than flying through dead space lol. There are lots of explanations for why we haven't heard from an intelligent species. It may be that they are observing us with devices we can't detect, and they don't think we are ready to meet them, and they are right about that. Close bracket. They may just be hanging out with other similarly advanced species, and we are not interesting enough for them to bother with. They may communicate in a way that we haven't discovered yet, and they're bombarding our planet with messages that we don't know how to detect. One scientist proposed that the oldest star systems in our galaxy may have been bombarded with gamma rays in the early years of our galaxy's existence. So intelligent life on those planets didn't get the head start that we thought they would have had, and the first intelligent life is evolving in the later formed solar systems like ours, in which case the other intelligent species in the galaxy are just as dumb as we are, or at least not sufficiently advanced to travel among the stars. Maybe they have visited us, maybe out of the bajillion UFO sightings that were ordinary terrestrial phenomenon, hoaxes, or the hallucinations of people on drugs. One or two of those sightings were of an actual alien spaceship, and they were written off as hoaxes, etc. Maybe intelligent life did evolve in the earliest formed solar systems in our galaxy, and they did travel among the stars. But after billions of years of existence they became extinct, or evolved into something so far beyond us that they are beyond communicating with our simple minds. The fact that they could pretty much see us as inferior life forms, thus, they could make us slaves, their food or test subjects. It wouldn't be something personal, they just would look down on us, like we would do with some ants. Not even worth it changing the direction of a step to avoid killing. They might not have orifices for eating or pooping. Hear me out. Almost all life on Earth is topologically equivalent to a donut, meaning we have an outside wall and an inside wall, digestive and respiratory tract that runs like a hole through us, and our important bits are sandwiched between these walls. One of the only examples of life that isn't like that would be, for example, single-celled organisms, amoebas and such, which just kind of ooze over whatever they acquire sustenance from and osmose it into themselves. Currently on Earth only microorganisms are like that. Edit. Also some weird ocean creatures. But there are fossils dating from before the Cambrian explosion from millions of years ago which hint that a completely different type of large and complex organisms might have evolved to walk the Earth before that evolutionary lineage was wiped out by an asteroid or the like. One of the oldest of these rare fossils is of a zero orifice creature that was about a meter long. We don't have a lot of info from life during that age, but it indicates there may have been an entire evolutionary track of complex life forms favoring life that is topologically equivalent to bull instead of donut, and that's on Earth. So, yeah, we could very well find an entire planet of giant, whose amoebas of assorted species and intelligence, who neither eat, speak, or shit like we do. Just try figuring out how to breach that cultural and language barrier. Edit. For those asking for more info on the ancient Earth giant amoeba fossil, I read about it in The Science of the Discworld, co-authored by Pratchett and two others, which is a very cool take on a popular science book about our world. Yes, don't worry, not about the Discworld. although alternating chapters use a fun Discworld frame story as an excuse to look at the cool science in the science chapters. I'll see if I can pinpoint where in the books they talked about this fossil and update. If I find it, would highly recommend this as a popular science read BTW. Very entertaining and educational. Edit 2. Found it. The class of fossils are called Ediacarans. An excerpt from chapter 23 of The Science of the Discworld link. Us. Archive. org/33/items/the new Discworld companion /t. HE%20 science 20 OF%20 DISCWORLD%20I. PDF. These creatures are known as Ediacarans, after a place in Australia where the first fossils were found. They could grow to half a meter or more, but as far as can be told from the fossil record, seem not to have had any internal organs or external orifices like a mouth or an anus. They may have survived by digesting symbiotic bacteria in their cells, or by some other process we can only guess at. Some were flattened and clustered together in quilts. We have no idea whether the Ediacarans were our distant ancestors, or whether they were a dead end, a lifestyle doomed to failure. No matter, they were around then, and as far as anyone knew, not much else was. There are hints of fossil worm casts, though, and some very recent fossils look like, but we are getting ahead of the story. The point is that nearly all Ediacaran life was apparently unrelated to what came later. What's this holeless creature called? You know those tribes that live on islands in the Pacific that haven't had technological progress in thousands of years. That's us. You know those international logging companies that would love a chance to just come plow over the island and take what's there? Somewhere there's an alien Greenpeace that's just barely getting by on a shoestring budget. This sounds true and all, and I do agree with your first statement. We are basically undiscovered tribes, but your second statement doesn't work because there is no material on Earth, which isn't abundant on Earth, which isn't abundant in space. Maybe trees and crops, but if they could travel here, food is their last problem and trees are a cool side benefit. We are only an intelligent species because we defined ourselves that way. Think of it. There is only a 1% difference in DNA between chimps and us, meanwhile the difference in intelligence is huge. We are exploring the cosmos with our advanced telescopes, meanwhile the smartest chimp is stacking up rocks. Now think of an alien species that has a 1% DNA difference with us lining the other way. Their simplest thoughts would be too complicated for us. The smartest person on Earth would be like a chimp stacking up rocks for them. Now think of a species with another 1% difference. We wouldn't even be like ants walking on the floor to them. We would be less than that. And you could go on like that. 10%, 20%, 30%, etc. What would we be? So insignificant that no one in the cosmos would consider making contact with us? Is the truth of the cosmos and reality actually really simple, but we are just too stupid, like expecting ants walking on a football field, to understand what's going on the field? Do we not know what we don't know? I like this answer because it reminds me of how we can't comprehend intelligence higher than our own. The fact that any life form that advanced that showed up to Earth without wanting a peaceful contact would likely just show up, vacuum up all the resources and leave us to die without any communication or anything. Think about it. When humans go into nature to get resources, they don't kill all the animals. They just take what they want and leave. For some reason, that is more chilling to me than aliens just glassing the planet with lasers. I don't think a peaceful alien would contact us. We are violent and very territorial. Things that would be in opposition to any kind of peaceful alien or interplanetary federation. Vacuum up all the resources. Do you know how much energy it takes to travel from one star to another? So much that Earth's resources aren't worth the bother. The dark forest theory kinda freaks me out. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through the trees like a ghost, gently pushing aside branches that block the path, and trying to tread without sound. Even breathing is done with care. The hunter has to be careful, because everywhere in the forest are stealthy hunters like him. If he finds another life, another hunter, angel, or a demon, a delicate infant, a tottering old man, a fairy or demigod, there's only one thing he can do: open fire and eliminate them. The other day, I looked at pictures of the universe and thought, what if Earth is the size of a marble ball to an alien? Apostrophe. I think it's called an theory that we are so _small. We can't possibly comprehend the space we live in and see or acknowledge other beings. The idea it just might not be possible to ever interact with them, even if we can detect them. What if there is no magical technology that sidesteps the speed of light? What if the hard fact is that it will take over 500 years of travel to pass a single message along? Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.